Day shift, drop a bag, mission on my back, night hits. Tango in the shadows on attack, coast stack, syntax, fingers moving like a mag. Discipline embedded in the way I counteract. Heartbeat running like a drill, sergeant cadence. Every little glitch getting clear with impatience. Stab mode calm, but the streams where the rage is. Hunter in the dark, taking aim at the agents. Boots on the floor with the G, on my weapon. Pops in the chain, every view gets a lesson. Taking my veins, every ride I'm addressing. Then I must be tested at the lead, I'm in a second. Never been a quitter, I'm a problem architect. Military mindset, keep the chaos in check. Every demon in the dead are getting caught in my head.
Time overload, dead string, night shift, tactical mode. Every single challenge getting instantly owed to the soldier in the shadows with the code that explodes.
Eldritch in the runtime, watch them bow. Ay. Hunter in the mainframe, watch them bow. Ay. Discipline and logic make them bow. Ay. Day by day, but the night they bow. Every demon process make them bow. Every glitch in memory make them bow. Can't go in the system, make them bow. Runtime ritual, make them bow. Runtime ritual, make them bow. Fast like a heartbeat in the combat, stress sharp like a soldier when the squad's under threat. Calm like a father when the world's a mess, but the moment I go live, I'm a certified threat. I bind every breathing, I'm a digital ghost. Under in the code, taking aim at the host. Every little ever getting cooked in toast. I'm the dad with the discipline to heal the most. Night Ops active, I'm a one-man squad. Streamlights flicker like the wrath of a god. Tech train mind, every line is mod. I'm the glitching matrix that the system outlawed. Eldritch in the runtime, watch them bow. Hunter in the mainframe, watch them bow. Discipline and logic make them bow. Day by day, but the night they bow. Every demon process make them bow. Every glitch in memory make them bow. Tango in the system make them bow. Runtime ritual make them bow. Runtime ritual make them bow.
Alright, there we go, and we're live. We did not change the right window. Let's go ahead and fix that real quick. There we go. And there's the, okay, cool. Let's get the music playlist playing. Alright, and we'll do a quick recap of what happened while we were waiting for the song to finish. Metallica Dude coming and getting first, checking in. Tally, you're like always first. I should like keep a tracker. Let's see how many times people get first, because I think you get it more than anybody else. We got Claude checking in. Flash is here too. Oh, we gotta do a follow. Abir. I don't know how to pronounce that. But thank you for the follow. And thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you, Claude, for doing the shout outs. Flash checking in. Thank you. What's up, Tango? Not too much, man. We're just gonna do some tech night. So we're gonna get back into our website. And off stream, I did a few changes, very cosmetic, very minor. I just changed, like I added a class neon button because I want to, I'll show you. Let's just open a preview real quick. So I don't like the default styling for links. We're gonna change that so it matches our theme, and we're gonna do a really cool like glowing effect. So when you hover over it, it glows and it has like a little reflection underneath. I think that's gonna be really polished, right? And so our terminal window updates, and you know, so it initializes, and then it's got this thing, and it says we're currently streaming science technology. We got 0 viewers, which is not accurate. That'll update in a minute. Stream title, from idea to implementation, so on and so forth. You guys can read that in the window actually. So yeah, this is like pretty much how it looks on a smaller screen, and then like with a bigger screen you see stuff gets bigger and easier to read. So the only thing that I don't like about what I've done so far is that one, all the text is all bunched up. We're gonna fix that. But also when you get down to like the size of a phone, the which I'll fix these windows, but when you get to the size of a phone, this is like not in the right, it's like too far down, so I gotta like move this up and over. So, and then the same thing's gonna be for the mobile window, but we'll fix those in a few minutes, or maybe we'll do it in week 4. But yeah, just doing a quick recap. So today the focus is going to be getting this stuff set up right and get rid of this lorem ipsum placeholder text. So we're going to put real text in here. We'll get real commands in here, right? And then we will change the way that these display. So right now, like if you look, these are all in single columns, and then these stay as next to each other. So on smaller screens, these will stack and these will stack, but on larger screens, these will all be side by side. And we're going to do some really cool effects and stuff. So let's get into that now. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask questions. That's kind of what we're here for today. And if the music is too loud, we can turn it down. You guys just let me know. And let's turn on word wrap. I believe it's Alt-C. Yeah, there we go. So now there's a word wrap here. And actually, this is going to keep updating, and I don't want this to keep updating. So we're going to go into our live alert, and we're going to turn that off real quick. There. So now it's not going to update, it's just going to blink. So all I did was comment out the two main functions there, so this doesn't update every single time that we do something. The other thing I did was, you see the Twitch player is empty right now. Well, that's going to be broken unless we go to the actual website. So if I go to tangohunter.com, it'll actually load in the actual real website, right? So you guys can see it there. And the reason I did it that way, if you go to line number 11, right, where you've got this iframe source, so the channel is my username, right, which is right here, const username Tango Hunter, right, and this is and parent, right, so the and parent has to be wherever it's being hosted from. So if it's your local computer, like you're just doing local testing, you would change this to 127.0.0.1. That's your local IP address for your computer. And it's the same for everybody. But since we're going to be putting it on a website, I already put it on the website. So it loads in the website. It won't load while we're testing, but that's fine. It'll load there. So that's the goal. And I might change this later on while we're doing some testing. So we'll see. But first, let's get into the actual card styling. So let's get rid of this lorem ipsum text. I'm just going to copy and paste what I already have written. I guess the easiest way to do this is just to boom. There we go. And then we'll do the same thing for the schedule. So just highlight just this text and paste. And what I need to do is add another one of these. Oh, something happened here. It took my tag and put it out of the line. Let's put it back in the line. There we go. We're gonna copy this real quick, this little divider, and we're gonna paste it again, right? But instead of schedule, it's gonna be games. There we go. And we're going to copy in, because I want there to be 3 different sections. This way it's consistent. And you'll see why when we get into it. There we go. Let's go down to socials. I did the same thing under socials. So we've got Discord. So we're going to come here under Discord. Put that there. YouTube. We're going to put one here. Let's fix that. There we go. And now I'm going to copy this YouTube one again, right? This card right here. We're just going to duplicate that. And instead of YouTube, it's going to be GitHub. So, GitHub's not really a social media platform as much as it is a code hosting platform, but I needed somewhere to put it. And rather than put it all the way at the bottom of the page, I want to put it up in here, since it kind of falls in line with what we're doing. So if you want to read this stuff, you guys can read it when we finish. Oh, and so the last one is commands, right? So let's get the commands actually from the chat window here. Boom. So we got our main commands. Right, so we have viewer commands. It's going to go right there. And it's going to look kind of funky, but it's there. Alright. And then Tango sounds. Hold on, why am I getting... Come on. It's trying to get me to do what's it called? Pin stuff, and I don't want to pin anything. Who just checked in? Zen, thank you for checking in. I appreciate it. First time chat too. That's what's up. I thought you'd been in here a few times before. But it's okay. You're here now, and that's what's important. There we go. See, if you have any questions, we're doing some coding. We're making a website. Right now it looks... This is our about section and our socials and our commands. It's a streaming website. Right now it looks kind of clunky. Like here's the preview on the right side. And I can make the preview bigger to simulate a desktop or smaller to simulate a phone. Right? So what we're going to do next is we're going to make this look nicer. I don't like how the text is all the way up against the screen. I also want these to be like the about me, the schedule, and the games all to be next to each other on bigger screens rather than be one stacked on top of each other, right? It'll look cleaner. So let's go ahead and get into that. Let's open, here we go. See, I pre-wrote a lot of this code. I'm gonna do a bit of lurking. I work quite a bit, so I get to chat all the time. That's okay. I'm gonna take a quick drink. I do a lot of talking on these streams, so I gotta remember to drink. Alright, so now that we have our content in here, let's style it. So we'll go to our styles file. And I'm gonna scroll down. So here's our terminal window, our cursor. Here's our iframe. It's above our footer. Okay, cool. So between our iframe, which is going to go in here, and our footer, which is down here, this is where we're going to put our text, right? This is where all the rest of our content is going to go. You don't have to do it this way. This is the way that I do it, so it flows in line with what's already existing. Some people like to put the header and the footer way at the top. It's totally up to you. It doesn't matter. Just be aware that these documents read top to bottom. So if you put your footer at the top, you can overwrite whatever code for your footer, like further on down. Like if you have like a paragraph tag down here or whatever, and then you style a paragraph tag underneath your footer, it'll style that paragraph tag too. So, and that's why I named this copyright thing right here copyright. So that way it can't be overwritten. So, and that's why I use class tags with everything. Every element should have a class if you plan on styling the element. Alright, so the first thing, let's take care of these H2 and these H3s, these headings. This is like the about is an H2 and the socials is an H2, and then the about me, the schedule, the games, these are all H3s. So let's style those real quick. I don't like them being centered. So we're just going to do H2, comma, H3, curly brackets. Alright, and we're going to do a text line, and we want left. So now put some on the left side. And then we're also going to do, so all these are in sections. So we're going to do section. Did I spell that right? Yeah, I spelled it right. That's weird. Why is it giving me a spelling error? We're going to give a padding of 2 rem. So it's going to be about 36 pixels. So that kind of gets it off the side of the screen, right? and then it also kind of gets separation between the about section and the socials and the commands. So then they're all separated just a little bit, and they're all like, they're not right up against the edge of the screen. So that kind of like takes care of the bigger sections, right? Let's get into each individual card itself. So if we go look back and look at our code, we're gonna go back up here to the about section. So we've got like section about, which is this whole section, right? Everything from where it says about to all the way down here, right above socials, right? And then class, got a divider called cards, right? And so underneath about, between about and about me, that's where the divider starts. And so this is all in a divider called cards, right? And then each individual section, right? So then we've got this one here where it says div class card about me. So now this one is one individual card, and this one is one individual card, and this one is one individual card, and all three of them nest inside of cards. And then the whole section is all of it, including the H2 up here, this about, right? Will make sense of why we did it this way when we style it, right? But I just want to put everything in context on how we're styling this stuff, right? So we're gonna do cards first, and remember that's all three of these parts, right? All three of them, because they're all cards. So the divider that has all three cards in it, right? We're gonna do display flex. Okay, now look, they're all side by side, right? It doesn't look good because the screen's small. We're gonna fix that. But on bigger screens, it's gonna look way better, right? But we gotta do a few more things to it, right? So let's do, I don't like that they're so close, so we'll do a margin top. So margin top, and we're gonna do just 0.5 rem, so that'll give us about 8 pixels of gap between here and here, right? And then we want a gap. So gap, we're gonna do 2 rem. This is gonna put a gap between each one of these sections, right? And I want it to be the same as the padding between our whole section. That way, this is 2 rem, this is 2 rem, because right, that's the margin. Where's it at? Yeah, here we go. No, it's the padding, sorry. So our section, the whole thing, has a padding of 2 rem, so it sets everything in here by 2 rem, right? And then the gap between each one of these is now 2 rem. So it's consistent. So our gap here, 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 and here is all the same. And now we want to justify content center, right? So let's see what that does. Justify content center. All right, so it didn't really do anything, but what it does is if all three of these were different sizes, right, the big one would look normal, and then these smaller ones would be centered within the container, vertically, right? So it gives it a nicer look. But since the text is about the same size on them, except for this one, they're all centered, right? Yeah, here you go. So you see how this one's bigger, and so it takes up a little more room. So it centers things out a little bit better. All right. So that's it for the cards, right? So it's all three, right? And then all three of these, right? Now let's do the individual card, right? So it's gonna be this whole card. We're gonna style each one, right? But we're gonna do all of them all at the same time because they all have the exact same class. So if we do dot card, curly brackets, we want to do the background first. So let's set a background color. So we're going to use background instead of background color. Background color will not overwrite what we have on the body tag at the very top. But if we do background, it will, right? So we do background, and we want to use one of our variables, and we're going to do the secondary background color, right? Because our main background color is here, right? So let's do our secondary background color, right? So see how it's a little bit different, but it looks kind of ugly, right? Because it's just a big square with the text behind it, right? So we will come in here, and we're going to do margin. We're going to do auto, right? That basically centers it so that the top, bottom, and side margins are the same. And then we're going to do padding. Right, so we're going to do a little bit of padding inside of it. So we want about 20 pixels. So it's going to be about 1.2 rem. Right, so now the text isn't like right up on the edge. Right. Hey, Claude. Hey, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. That's what we're here for. So that spaces them out just a little bit. And now let's do a border radius. So instead of having these hard edges, we'll give it a border radius. Border radius, right? And we're gonna do 10 pixels. So we'll hard code that. See, now it's got like this nice radius to it. All right, and then we also want to give it a border color, right? So we want some separation. So we want border color. All right, so border color, you have to specify 3 things. The width of the border, so 1 pixel. Whether you want it to be solid or you want it to be like a dashed line or whatever. Well, I always pick solid because I think it looks the best. So we have solid, and now we have to pick the color, right? So we're going to use one of our variables, and we want our main accent. Oh, hold on. Because I picked border color. Let me change it to border. There we go. Alright, now you see how they're different sizes. That's kind of funky looking. Let's see if we can't change that. Is it margin auto? Yeah, it was margin auto that changed that. Okay, we'll get rid of that. We don't need that. Now they're all the same size, right? Even if the content inside the card doesn't take up the whole space, at least they're all the same size now, right? So if you wanted these to be the same size, like this column be the same size as this column, right? Like how these ones are different, you would use grid instead of flex, right? But we're using grid up here, and I wanted to use both so that I could show you how they work, right? What the differences are. But one thing I don't like is how this text, this heading about me, is the same color as this. So to make it look more like a heading and not like the generic text, even though it's a little bigger, we're going to change the color slightly. So if we come in underneath card and we do another card, now we type in H3 and then curly brackets. So what this does is it's saying that in the card, every time there's an H3 element, like if you look right above where I'm hovering, this is element class card, and then there's an H3 element below it. So we're specifying every H3 element that is within a card, right? But if there's an H3 element that is not within one of these cards, it won't style it. It's only going to do the ones in the cards, right? So this allows us to add additional H3 headings further on down the page if we wanted to, outside of cards. But since we want to only target the ones in the cards, this is the way we wrote it. So let's do a color, and we're going to use our secondary accent color variable, right? Boom. So that gives it like this kind of green look, kind of glowing, right? And what I could do instead of this accent main for the border, I think I have a border color set already. Yeah, I do. Let's see how that looks. Oh, that kind of looks cooler. I like that better. It's a little bit darker. I think I like that more. Yeah, and it matches their terminals too. Cool. Yeah, I like that better. Alright, now let's do like a hover effect. So if somebody hovers over these, we're gonna do like a cool little effect. So we're gonna target card again, right? But now we have to add a state. So the state is gonna be called hover, right? And if you look, there's all these are pseudo elements. We don't want a pseudo element. We just want a state. So we're hovering, right? So we hover over it, boom. And it's called pseudo class. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, so when you're hovering over it. So pseudo element is before and after pseudo class, like that. So the first thing, we're gonna add like a shadow to it. So when we're hovering over it, there's a shadow. So we want box shadow. All right, we have to select how we want the shadow to show up, right? So I don't want anything on the top. We don't want a shadow above it, right? Because we're gonna make it like kind of like shift upwards just a little bit, and so you don't want a shadow above something that's shifting up, right? We also don't want a shadow to the right of it, right? Because that doesn't make sense to have a shadow on the right side if it's shifting up. But we do want a shadow underneath, because remember, the way numbers work when you're doing shadows and borders and stuff is if you just put one number in, it's all sides, left, right, or top, left, or top, right, bottom, and left, in that order, right? It goes clockwise starting at the top. So the more numbers you enter, so if you just do 2 numbers, top and bottom's the first number, left and right is the second number. If you do 3 or more, it's 1, 2, 3, and if you do the fourth one, it's the fourth side. We're only going to do 3, so we want 1 for the bottom. Let's just do 12 pixels, right? And we want to make this a color, right? So again, we're going to use a variable. And let's do our accent secondary. So it's going to be a little bit brighter, right? I want to see how it's going to look. Oh, do the whole thing. It's only supposed to do the bottom. That's weird. So it looks with accent main. That's a better glow, I think. It's not supposed to do the whole thing. We'll see why in a second. Alright, so to get it to actually move when you hover over it, let's do that part next. To get it to actually move, we have to do what's called a transform. So we're transforming the element, we're going to move the element. And since we're moving it, the secondary part we have to write is called translate. In which direction? X, left and right, Y is up and down, right? And positive numbers mean you're moving it down, negative numbers mean you're moving it up, right? So it always starts from the top or from the left, right? So since we're going to do Y, it's going to start at the top. And since we're doing a negative number, it's going to move it up. So to do that, we do transform, right? And then translate, which does not show up. Nope. Translate Y, right? And we want -3 pixels. Very small. Nothing too fancy, right? So now, it kind of shifts up just a little bit. Almost like it's popping out. I don't know why the whole thing's getting this right here, this whole shadow. It's only supposed to be the bottom, but it's fine. I can look at it and fix it later if I want to, but for now it does work, and I think it looks pretty good. It gives it a polished look. So, I like it. And on really big screens, like, this is how it's going to look on bigger screens, right? If we can make it even bigger. So I think that looks pretty cool. And then for smaller screens, it's not going to look like that. The next thing we're going to do, and we'll fix how it's going to look on smaller screens when we do this mobile section, this navigation section. Because as soon as we finish that, we're going to do our navigation for our mobile. And when we set that in there, that's when we'll also set in the mobile settings for our navigation and the mobile settings for all this too, right? So it all kind of flows better, so it's not looking like that, right? Because that looks terrible when you have a really small screen, because now it's scrolling, and we don't want that at all, right? So we're gonna fix that. But the first thing, let's get these looking really nice. So let's do our neon buttons. And actually, before we even do the neon buttons, let's go back into the index file index HTML. So because we're going to change our mobile settings, let's change this so that it's a list, right? This will make more sense because we are going to need these items to be listed out this way when somebody clicks on the menu. So these won't be here on small screen, but there'll be a little menu icon, and then it'll come out, and all the links will be right here listed. So, but to do that, we have to make these list items. So what I'm going to do, I already have the code written for it. I'm just going to replace it. Right, so you'll see this desktop nav will disappear. It'll say main nav instead. And then you'll see an unordered list. And then each one of these will be inside of a list item. So if we just come over here, Control V. Oh, we need to like inset this just a little. There we go. What's up, Claude? Taking a drink. There we go. So now we've got our nav, and we named it main nav and gave it an ID of main nav. Unordered list. There's ordered lists, which when you create ordered lists, they're numbered lists usually. So it's like 1 and then the content, and then 2 and then the content, so on and so forth. Unordered lists are usually bullet points, right? And then you've got list items in each one. So like here's one list item, here's another one, right? But we don't want them to look like a list right here. So we're going to overwrite that styling right here. But then we're going to keep that styling, because that's how list items are styled. We're going to keep that styling when it makes the list, but they're not going to be centered, right? They'll just be left aligned. So, and actually while we're here, let's replace our button. Because, so I didn't like using a toggle or a checkbox, right? I want an actual button for this. So we're just going to replace that. Let's put the right spacing in there. There we go. So now we have an actual button, which is extremely small, right? So, but it's the mobile toggle button. There's going to be 3 span elements because they're called hamburger menus. There's usually just 3 lines. A lot of developers don't like that. So sometimes you see like a gear icon for settings. Sometimes you'll see like a profile icon. Like if you're logged in, there's a profile icon. Because a lot of people don't like the hamburger menus. That's just what they're called. I personally don't care. I don't think they look bad. I do think they're overused, so I understand why people don't like to use them. But yeah, so the first thing, let's get this separated back to the way it was, and then let's make the what's it called, the effects, right? So we're gonna go back to our style, back to our styles, scroll back up. We are right here, right below our H1 heading, which is here. We're right below it. So we're gonna come in here, and we're gonna do nav-list, right? Because that's what I named them. So if we come back here, see I named it, the unordered list is called nav list, right? We want to do list style, list style type. We want none. All right, and then we want margins of none. Nope, not 0. There we go. Right. We want a padding. We're overriding all of the style for list items. Right. We're going to give it display of flex. This is gonna make it inline, right? Boom, so another inline, right? And then one of the things you can do to make flex so that everything flows and it's all centered and spaced apart evenly, you can do justify content and do space around, right? And you can play with every single one of these settings to see what looks the best, but space around makes all of them the exact same distance apart, right? And like half of this distance between these two is on the sides, right? So now it looks like, I mean, it doesn't look how I want it to look, but it's styled so where we can set up the next part, So let me scroll down. That's our mobile response. Let's go to neon buttons. Here we go. All right. Let's do neon dash button. Oh, wrong button. There we go. All right, so our neon button. Oh, hold on. I didn't actually spell button. I just spelled BTN. BTN. Right. So I want them to be kind of in a little bit of the heading, and you'll see why. So I have to do top. We're going to do -1 rem, which that didn't do anything. So it's because I don't have, it's because they're, shoot. I don't know if that'll work. Because I don't have, what's it called? Position. I don't know if relative will work. Let's see. No, relative's not going to work. Oh, relative does work. Okay, cool. So position relative will position this relative to where it is on the body, right? Since I did -1, it's basically moving it up 1 rem. So it's moving up the space of this, right? 1 line, 1 line of text. So let's do a background color. I want background colors in all these. And we're going to do background main. So let's do a variable background main. Right, so that kind of gives us a little bit of differentiation between that. And, you know, before we do the background color, let's do a margin. If I could spell margin. And let's do 0 and 30 pixels. Let's see how that looks. That didn't do anything. Okay. I didn't know if that was going to do anything or not. Let's increase the font size in these. So instead of being 16 pixels, let's make them 20 pixels. Make them a little bigger, right? And then display. No, I don't need to display because they're already like set up. All right, so cursor pointer is already there. Let's get rid of the underline. So text decoration, and we'll do none, and this gets rid of the underline, right? Also, if we click one to leave out, right? Oh, it didn't do it. Good, good, good. Because text texture is off. Okay. Right, but now we have a pointer. So let's do the next part. And we want to put a border around them. So let's do a border. And the border is going to be 4 pixels. So it's going to be a bigger border, right? And we want a solid line. Solid. And we want it to be our main accent color, right? This will make sense why we did it this way in a few minutes, right? It looks ugly right now, but this will make sense because we want it to look like it's glowing, and our main accent color is like a brighter shade of green. It keeps like moving every time I hit enter. All right, so let's give a radius. So border radius. All right, and we're gonna do 10 pixels. And the reason we're doing 10 pixels, right? The reason we're doing 10 pixels is because I made the font size 20, and 10's half of that, right? So it'll give it a nicer, rounder profile to go around the text. It's half the height of the text, basically, right? Oh, come on, stop doing that. I wish it would stop. Every time I hit enter, it's like moving down. What if I just click home? If I if I actually click in there somewhere, maybe it'll stop doing that. Because I clicked about. Alright, moving on. So, let's do padding. Let's see how it looks with some padding in there, because I don't like how it looks right now. Let's do 5 pixels, see how that looks. Hey Claude, thank you for the lurk. There we go. So that brings it up off the, brings it up off here a little bit, right? And let's do a text shadow. Here first we'll do a color, right? Let's change the text color. And we want our color to be the same color as our main accent. So there we go. So now we got some consistencies right there, right? But I don't like how they're looking right now. So let's do a width because they're all different sizes. That didn't work. Text line center. That also didn't work. That's okay. Let's do box shadow. And we're going to do the same thing we did to the other one, but do it a little different. So 0, 0, 10. And 5, oh, 10 pixels. And 5 pixels. Var accent main, so it's the same, and then we're going to comma, and we want inset, and it's be the same thing. So we got 0, 0, 10 pixels, 5 pixels, accent main, right? So var and accent main, right? So now we have an outside shadow and an inset shadow, right? The other thing we need to do is add a text shadow. So underneath our color for our text, let's do a text shadow. So text shadow. All right, and this one is gonna be 1 pixel, 1 pixel, 10 pixels. We'll do another variable, and we want this one to not be quite as bright, right? So we're gonna do it with our accent. Boom. So this makes it just a little bit brighter, right? So it's starting to glow, right? We're seeing this glowing effect. The widths of these are not the same. I don't know. I'll have to mess with that later to get them to be the same width. But we'll move on from now. At least they look how I want them to look. Alright, so now we're going to do some pseudo elements, right? So we want before. So now we're using this neon element that already exists, and we're creating another element called before in its place, right? Because this is going to add the reflection effect I was talking about, right? So when the page loads, it's going to look like it's kind of reflecting, and then when someone hovers over it, the reflection is going to get brighter, and this is going to glow more, and it'll also change the way it glows, right? But to do that, I need to do a before and an after, right? So we're going to do 2 additional elements, one before and one after. All right, so the before, anytime you do a pseudo element, you have to have content. Even if it's empty content, you have to have it in there. If you have none or you don't have it in there at all, it's not going to work. It has to be there. So we want pointer events, and I want none, right? And the reason I want any pointer events, so if you hover over this, it changes to a pointer, right? The before that's going to be a reflection here, I don't want there to be a pointer event when somebody hovers over the reflection. So hopefully that makes sense. We're going to do a position. I want absolute. Okay. And then background. So we're writing the background color. And it's going to be our variable accent main, so it looks the same as the rest of it. And then now we're going to say where it's going to be. So we want it to be underneath it, so from the top. So if we did 100%, it would put it right here at the bottom, right? But we want it to look like a reflection, so we need a gap. So let's do 120%, right? So let's do top 120, and we'll do percent. Okay. And then left 0. Okay. So that means it'll be aligned on the left side. So from the top, 100% down, alignment to the left. Right? Now let's give it a width and a height, because nothing's going to show if we don't give it a width and a height, right? So if we do width, oh, if I can type, width 100%. Oh, hold on. There you go. And now a height of 100%. This should make it show up. I didn't spell it right. I spelled it wrong again. It doesn't show up. Why isn't it showing up? Maybe because that's weird. Nothing showed up here. Dang, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to go to bed. See if it's coming. Okay, no worries. Thank you for coming in anyways. I appreciate it. I do appreciate it. We're going to transform. So it's not showing up. I think if I continue styling, I think I can get it to show up. So when you do a perspective shift, it's usually on the x-axis. So imagine you're looking at a plane like this, and when you shift your perspective on it, it means you're, instead of looking directly over it, it means you're kind of like shifting your perspective downwards. So then this is further away and this is closer. And so you're going to get that perspective shift. Have a good night. The website's looking great. Thank you. I appreciate it. We're working on it. We're getting there. We're getting there. So if I do a 20 pixel perspective shift, that will give it a shift as though we are 20 pixels further away from it. Kind of like at a downward angle. I don't know if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. And then we're going to rotate it. So rotate on the x-axis. Now we need to set the angle. Right, so we want to do 40 degrees. Okay. And then we're going to give it a scale. A min-max scale, so 1,0.35. And it still hasn't shown up. Okay. Pointer events none. Background, we got the background in there. Top left, we got the width and the height. Let's keep going. I don't know why it's not showing. I don't like that. I don't like it at all. I must have missed something somewhere. Alright, let's set a filter. because I know what I want it to do and it's not doing it. We want it to blur, so we don't want hard edges on it, right? So we're going to give it a blur of 20 pixels, right? Which it kind of like feathers it out a little bit. And then opacity. So we don't want it to be like super visible. 0.5. There we go. Which makes it not quite so bright. It makes it kind of see-through. So let me just... I'm just going to copy what I've got and see if that fixes it. Because it worked when I was testing. And for some reason it's not. There it goes. There it goes. And now the widths are correct. Right, so all I did... I'll explain what I did. I just copied what it is. I guess the whole thing had to be there. So, the whole thing. Alright, so I didn't change... It's just in different orders. I didn't change much here. I did leave a width here, which for some reason that fixed it. So I must have skipped something in here. So we're at top, our margin. Maybe it needed a margin and a width, maybe? I don't know. Because those things are skipped in text line center. But either way, now it works. And you can kind of see, like, when you hover over it, it changes the background to green. And it changes the text to black inside of it. And because this is opacity 5, it looks like this, but when we hover over it, it changes it to make it glow more, just like the rest of it. And that was done. So first we have the after, right? So the after I set basically position absolute. I made sure it filled the whole container, right? So the filled from the top is 0, the bottom is 0, right? So I don't have to set a width and a height. I just made it fit the whole container. Right, I made the background transparent, and then we gave it a shadow, right? So the shadow goes on the outside, right? And I made it the same colors. I made it bigger than the shadow on the main thing. See, it's double the size, so that way it glows more. But I gave it an opacity of 0.5, just like the bottom, so it's not quite so vibrant. But then we have a hover, right? So when we hover over it, it changes the text color to black. It gets rid of our text shadow, right? And it gets rid of our outline. The other thing it does, when we hover over it, the before and after elements, it changes the opacity to none and the outline to none, right? So the opacity is 5, so it's not that bright, but then it changes it to 1, which makes it full brightness. So that's what gives it that cool effect. Oh, and I did it down here too. So this needs to be fixed. I will probably do... I'll probably get rid of back to top and just put 2 top. Let's see if that fixes that so it doesn't look like that. So we'll just get rid of back and change it to top. Boom. See that? Right? And it's got that same reflection effect. Right? It's very subtle until you hover over it. Commands works. Which really, socials and commands almost sticks to the same point. About, right there. Home. Right? So that's cool. That actually works. And so if you look though, you'll see I did like a before, I did a hover before and a hover after, and then I did a focus before and a focus after, right? So if I click this home button, right? If the focus is when you're using a screen reader or you're tabbing through stuff. So a lot of people will tab through stuff, or you use screen readers to tab through stuff, which is an accessibility thing, right? So the tab button. So now I'm focused on this element, right? The first tab was this up here. So if I shift tab, it should be this. No, shift tab again. Nope. It's not targeting that for some reason. Maybe I'm targeting the button instead of the checkbox. I bet you that's what it is, because the button doesn't work. Then I'll hit tab again, right? Hit enter. Tab again. right? So that's kind of like how that works. So yeah, it gives you like, so if you're focused or if you're hovering over it, right? So that's an accessibility thing, which is pretty neat. Like this whole effect is neat, and it flows in with our theme. It kind of gives it a cool look. It looks terrible on like smaller screens. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna fix that. We're gonna fix it so that on smaller screens, these will be columns, and this will be in one column, and these will be in our list, right? That opens up when we hit our mobile menu. Okay. So the first thing I need to do is set the JavaScript. So I'm gonna copy and paste it, and I'll explain what everything means, because it'll take longer to explain it and type it as I go. Okay. You see that I just added a few lines, right? Like a few. So I went from, oh no, here we go. It's just down here. So I went from 31 to 52 lines, right? Yeah, for some reason I thought the whole thing was done. Okay, anyway, let's change our thing here. Here we go. So today is what, the 15th? Yeah, we're gonna update all these files so they all match today's date. Let's do that right now before I forget, and I will forget if I don't do it. And today's the 15th. Cool. All right, anyways, going back to this. So here we go. So the first thing we did is we declared our variables, right? So our mobile toggle. So we create a variable called mobile toggle. It goes in the document, and it gets the element by ID mobile toggle. So if we go back to our index page, right? So here's our ID mobile toggle, right? So it's going to get this element, this button element right here. It's storing this element in this variable called mobile toggle, right? And it's doing the same thing for a main net. Oh, an overlay. I didn't put the overlay in. Let's put that in right now. Hold on. That goes underneath our nav element, right? And so this overlay will make sense in a minute when we style it. But it's basically going to be like, it's going to darken this part of the screen, and then it's going to slide out. So you'll see. So that's what's going to hold our navigation menu. Okay. There we go. So our main nav is the entire navigation container, right? And then our mobile toggle is the button, and then we've got our overlay. So we've stored all three of these in their own individual elements for the JavaScript. The JavaScript cannot control these items unless we store them in their own variables, right? And since we know these aren't going to change, we can make them constants, right? So no matter what, the mobile toggle will always be this element, right? This toggle element. It'll always be that. We cannot change that now, right? It's the same thing for the rest of them. So what we can do, since our mobile toggles are button, we can add an event listener, right? So if somebody clicks on it, it's going to perform this function, right? It's an arrow function. It's going to change the mobile toggle. It's going to add a class list called active, right? It's going to toggle it on, right? So we're adding a class list called active. So where it says class mobile toggle, now there's another one next to it called active, right? So there's two classes. You can have multiple classes. You can only have one ID, but you can have multiple classes for an object, for an element, right? So we're adding an active, right? And then the main nav, we're adding a class called open, right? We're opening the navigation list, right? In our overlay, we're going to add a class called show. We're going to show it, right? So we're going to show our overlay. We're going to open our navigation, and our class is our mobile navigation is going to be active, right? What we're also going to do is add another event listener, right? So if they click it again, it'll close the menu, right? So we're going to do what's called a query selector. Basically, it's going to look in the document, and it's going to look for every time someone clicks a link in the nav list, right? For each link they click, it's going to close the menu, right? So when someone opens this menu, if they click about, it'll scroll down to about, and then it'll close the menu, right? And then here's the actual function close menu. So we're now defining close menu, right? So if someone closes the menu, it's going to remove the active category from the button. It's going to remove open from the list, so it'll close the list, and it'll remove show from the overlay. So the overlay will also disappear, right? So that's what all this does, right? So we defined the three of them. We add an event listener when someone opens it, right? We're adding an event listener if somebody closes it or if somebody clicks it, right? And then what happens when they close it, right? So when they close it, it's doing the exact opposite of when they open it, right? So that's basically all this is. It's very, very simple, but JavaScript can be kind of temperamental, right? So you've got to make sure you put everything here correct. That's one of the things that I like about using Prettier, because you can see different things. And also, what is the other extension I use? Code Spell Checker is really good. And then there's another one. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. There we go. IntelliSense. Here we go. So IntelliSense, and then Code Spell Checker, and Prettier, which is probably way down here somewhere. Here it is, Prettier. Yep. So those three kind of like help out a lot, so that your code is easy to read, and so that if you have mistakes, you can fix it. I took a drink of my tea there. All right. So now that we know how our mobile button is going to work when we click it, let's style it so it looks better. So it'll be up here like this one, and we're also going to style what happens when someone, like when the screen is smaller, right? So that it opens up. And so we also need to style how it's going to look when it opens, and how the overlay darkens the screen. All right, so we're going to do all that right here. We're going to scroll down. We will put it right below our H1 heading, even though it's technically above it. That way it's right next to our nav list, right? So that way all of our mobile navigation and our desktop navigation is all next to each other. We're just going to put it right here.
Welcome back.
Yo, Stone with the resub, 4 months. Thank you, dude. I appreciate that. We're doing some coding here. So I'm working on the navigation now, which looks bad because it's not set up for mobile phones yet. It looks really good on desktops, right? But mobile phones, it's kind of like it's cutting it off, and we're getting side scrolling now. So we got to fix that. So that's what we're doing next. So I'm going to do what I did earlier, and I'm just going to copy and paste, and we'll explain what each thing is doing, because then I'm not going to miss anything and skip anything. Right, so we're just hit paste. Oh, hold on. And our response. Right, so this is going to go all the way at the bottom. So let's go over this part real quick. Hold on, what did you say? Your screen message says 2 months, so you are aware. What? Hold on. It says on my screen you've subscribed for 4 months. What do you mean my screen message? I'm confused. The stream, yes, but the visual picture on your stream that popped. Oh. I don't know why I did that. That's strange. I'll have to look at that later. I'll go back in the VOD and look at it. Let's add a marker so I know what to look for. There we go. There's no title in the marker, but at least now I can go back and look at it. Alright, so the next step, so yeah, that one. Anyways, just want to let you know I'm here to help watch this. Okay, that's cool, I appreciate it. I do appreciate it. So I will, I'll look at that in the VOD, because I can't do anything about it right now. So, let's just go over a little bit of what I just did. So, the mobile toggle is not going to show up yet, because I haven't done any of the mobile styling for it yet. But when it does show up, it's going to be positioned absolutely. It's going to be the same spot this one's in, right? Up here in the corner, up on the left side, right? 'Cause it's left. Right, we've got the width and the height set. Display none, sort of like display none means it's not going to show up right now, right? It's hidden. Flex direction column, so the content that's in it will flow downwards. Justify content space between, so everything is spaced evenly apart. We have a background. We don't have any border. We have no cursor. A cursor turns into a pointer. Z-index can be kind of confusing, but the higher the number, the higher it sits on the DOM, right? So the lower numbers will sit on the bottom, higher numbers will sit on the top. We got a border, which we have border twice in here, so let's get rid of that one. All right, that's weird. I wonder why it was like that. All right, so mobile toggle span, right? So display block. Why is this looking like this? There's no spaces in here. I wrote this in Notepad originally, so some of it kind of looks funky. Display block. We got a height of 3 pixels, right? So each part of the hamburger menu is going to be 3 pixels tall, right? The background is going to be text main, right? So we've got the background of the button is going to be our main background, right? And the background color of each part of the hamburger menu is going to be the same color as our text. And we got a little border radius. All right, so when someone clicks on it, we have this cool rotating and translating effect that's going to happen, and you'll see that in a minute. And then also our overlay is fixed. All right, so we got inset 0, opacity 0. So opacity 0 means it doesn't show up right now. It's going to be completely black with a 0.5 opacity, right, or 0.5 alpha channel, right? And then transition, so it's going to take 0.3 seconds to transition, and then a z-index of 99999, right? So this z-index up here, where'd it go? 1001. So this 999 will be behind it, right? Because it's got a lower z-index number. Overlay show. So when that overlay is shown, the opacity is going to bump up to 1. Right, so 0, so then it'll be visible, right? And it's only going to be 0.5 in the alpha channel, so it's just going to darken everything. It's not going to be full black, it's just going to darken it by 50%, right? And visibility to visible, right? Because right now visibility hidden, so you can't see it. So now let's do the mobile toggle, like the response. So again, I'm just going to copy and paste, and then go over everything. So if we come all the way down, the reason I want mobile toggle all the way down at the bottom, like the mobile responsiveness, is because if I want to change anything else, it needs to be all the way down here at the bottom, right? Because these documents read top to bottom, right? So boom. So if you look, our navigation disappeared, right? And this popped up. This is our hamburger menu, right? So it's got a nice border, the same colors of text. The 3 icons are the same colors of text. When we click on it, you see how it transitions from the 3 bars to an X. So the middle bar disappears. This one tilts down. This one tilts up. Right? And then here's our buttons. So what we did was when somebody clicks the button, so when our screen size is 350 pixels or less, so our max width, the width of our screen, which is about the size of a tablet, right? It's going to get rid of, there's our breaking point, you see that? So that's why I made it 950 pixels, because At this point, you start getting side scrolling if you go below that, right? So instead of getting side scrolling, now we've got the mobile menu, right? So we don't have side scrolling, right? So our mobile menu pops up. The overlay, it darkens everything by 50%, right? Think of like window tint, like a 50% window tint, right? And then our mobile menu pops out. So pretty neat. Our navigation menu, it pops out. But if we look at our main nav is fixed, top is 0. So if our media screen is less than 950 pixels, it sets our main navigation negative 260 pixels to the left. So you see how it's popping out from the left, right? Well, it sets that whole thing out over here off the DOM, so you can't see it, right? It's hidden all over here, right? The width is 200, so it sets it over here, and it also makes the width 260 pixels, right? The height is 100%, so the full height of our whole thing, it goes all the way down, right? This does two things. But the main one is that now if we add more links in the future, boom, right? And if we add more links in the future, to be honest, like we'd have to rethink how we have this set up. But it adds a little bit more like future proofing basically. It also looks better than having it like cut off, right? It makes it look better, like the whole thing is sliding out. So aesthetically, it's more pleasing. So we've got our height, 100% padding, 80 and 20. So basically 80 pixels and 20 pixels, which it looks like more than that for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe it's just my screen. Our background is the same color as our background here, right? Transition. So it transitions from the left at 3.3 seconds. Ease. So it eases in 0.3 seconds. And then z-index 1000, right? Because this is 1001, so it shows up on top, right? And this is 1000, and then this is 9999, the overlay, right? So this overlay shows up on the very bottom, and this menu shows up above that, and then this shows up above that, right? Because it's our z-index. The nav list changes from a flex direction of row to column, right? Justify context flex start, so it's going to justify everything at the start, down. Gap 1.5 rems, so we get like a little bit of a gap there. Basically, the size of the text 1.5 times between these elements. Neon button before, content none, so that gets rid of the reflection effect that's on the bottom. This reflection effect, it gets rid of that. This content none gets rid of that, so that doesn't show up. And then our main nav open, left 0, right? So now when we open it, this main nav, this at negative 260, now it shows up as 0, right? And because we've got this ease in from the left, it does it real easy. It just flows, and it flows in the same amount of time that it takes for this menu icon to change from the 3 bars to the X, right? That's just, I thought that was a really cool effect, and that it just syncs up really well. So that's why I did it. Now, while we're in this max media width, right, let's also come down here. And what did I name this? I named it grid. I don't like that I named it grid. But that's okay. We'll go with grid for now. I can change the name later. So we'll do grid. Actually, no. I won't even do it here. Let's go up here. Where's grid at? Grid, right here. So you see what I've got? Grid template columns, repeat to 1FR, right? So we have 2 columns repeating, right? So if we had more content, each one of these would be in another row, right? So because we only have 2 columns, and 1FR, 1 fraction, right? So that means this column's 1 fraction and this column's 1 fraction, right? If it was like 2FR, 1FR, this column would be 2/3 and this one would be 1/3, right? That's kind of the way the FRs work, right? What I can do If I remember right. Let me look real quick. I thought I had... That's our scan line. Here we go. So what I can do instead of this repeat to 1FR is I can do like a min-max, right? So I'm going to keep it on repeat, right? Because if I add more terminals, they can repeat or whatever, right? But we can get rid of this section and do what's called auto fit. Right, so that looks bad, right? We'll do auto fit, right? And then comma min-max, which doesn't show up. Why doesn't that show up? Min-max, right? And we're gonna do 300 pixels minimum, and the maximum is gonna be 1FR. Does autofit not work? Oh, it's auto dash fit. That's why. Boom. That didn't work. Why did that work? Grid template columns. Repeat. Alright, we'll just do it the way I was going to do it before then. We'll just get rid of that. And go back to 2 1FR. I need a comma there. Comma. We'll just do it the way I was going to do it. We're just going to come down here. And we're going to do dot grid. Curly brackets. And we'll do grid template columns. This will be 1. Is it 1FR? 1FR? Yeah, there we go. Boom. Right. So the reason this looks the way it does and this one looks smaller is because the Twitch player. This is where the iframe rests, and it's 16 by 9. So that's the size of the player, the Twitch player. So that's why this one looks kind of janked up. But if I go back up here to our terminal, yeah, terminal. So we don't have a height. We do have a margin. So let's do a height on here. Let's see if that works. Let's do a minimum height. I want to see what 300 pixels would look like. That looks way better. Right? I mean, that even like almost stops at our breaking point right there. Right? So they can get bigger or they can get smaller, but they never get below 300 pixels, which is nice. That's really nice. Alright, so we're still getting this right here, this side scrolling with our cards, right? So they're not doing quite good, right? So underneath this, we're gonna do our cards now, right? So what I can do, what did I name? Is it just the cards, or did I do it in the section? Let me look. I think I did it in the cards. Yeah, cards is flex. Okay. Alright, so then we'll also come down here. We'll do dot cards, curly brackets, and we'll flex direction, column. Right? So now everything flows. It makes it a lot longer. It is a much longer web page now, right? But these are the same size. I mean, unless you get too big, you know, then this one will kind of keep getting bigger. But like, you know, otherwise, it flows so much better. Back to the top, we go to our menu, go to commands, boom, our commands are right there. Right, so if somebody wants to come in here, it's all right there. And oh, I have these backwards. No one told me. No one told me. No one told me. Let's fix that right now. We're gonna fix that. Let's go back into our index. Why didn't y'all tell me? Control X, Control V, and then let's go back in the chat. I did it earlier. Where did I do it? There it is. So we'll copy this, and then we'll Tango Sounds, put it right there. Boom. Put that back. And that fixed it. Cool. Big bada boom. Scroll back down our chat window so I can see the chat. So I think that looks really good. The next thing, and this is the last thing we're doing tonight, is our live banner, right? Right now this looks very bland, and if I open it up in a live server, so our iframe doesn't show up, right? It refuses to connect because it shows up in tangohunter.com, right? But all this, it flows so much better, right? Home, about, socials, text should be empty. Yeah, it's empty. There's nothing here. Go back. Right. We do our light theme. So it kind of changes things up. This still does the same thing when you hover over it. It's just a little bit darker than it was. Right. We've got this cool theme going on. Back to the top. Right. And then on our smaller screen, this is how it's going to look on light theme. So our menu's up here. All this stuff shows up here. Back to the top. It flows a little bit better, you know? Change back to a dark theme. Imagine this being a clip, like a Twitch player, right? To play the video in. But obviously it's not here because it won't show up, but it will show up. Boom, right here. Alright. Maximize this. So yeah, it shows up here. I've got it muted right now, so I'm not talking over myself. This all looks wrong because I haven't updated the GitHub yet. So what I can do while we're doing the next part is we can send an update to it. And this is week 3 midstream update. It's really not midstream, but you know. Oh shoot, hold on. Let's go back in here. Live alert. We're gonna change something real quick. All right, now we'll commit it. So mid week 3 midstream update. Commit. Now push. There we go. Alright, so now in about like 5 minutes, that website will be updated with our current code. And it should look really nice. So the next part is going to be our live alert. So it's our live banner. Again, I'm going to copy the JavaScript. It is much, much smaller than the rest of it. So let's start with our HTML code real quick. If we come up here, I believe I saw it up here, but in the wrong spot. Yeah, I've got it down here in the main section. I don't want it down here. Right, what I want it to be up here. Oh, you know what I need to do? I'll do this in a few minutes, but I'll change this. Maybe I'll do it on next week. Hey, Delta. How you doing, man? Thank you for checking in. So let's add it under the header, or no, in the header, at the very top. We got Sari banning a thing. What's it called? A spam bot. Alright. Tiltrader with ADHD, hell yeah. How you doing tonight, man? We're getting ready to wrap up. We're just going to do our one last item. So we've got our mobile menu now that slides out. And like our mobile icon, it changes from this like 3 bars to the X. Right, so it's not a hamburger menu to the X. Thank you for the lurk, I appreciate it. Oh, what's up, Abraxos? How you doing? Lurker on Raw Fishman, that's cool. Thank you, man, I appreciate it. Alright, so what I do is I put this live dot up here. It's right here. It looks terrible. It's in the wrong spot. We're gonna fix that. But yeah, so we've got our mobile navigation set up. We got our cards set up with actual real content. I don't want this to continuously update, so I'm going to kind of comment this out again. There we go. Now let's go back into our HTML. So what we did, I got rid of the old one that was down here by our overlay, and I added it up here. So we've got our live, we're going to do a live banner, right? So we've got a divider, ID of live banner, and a class of live banner. So the ID is for our JavaScript, the class is for our CSS, and we've got a span, right? So we have 2 spans. They are inline elements, so they're on one line. I've got word wrapped on, so it looks like 2 lines, but if you look, it goes 28, and then it goes 29 down here, so it's all one line. But the first one is our live dot, which is this little thing here, and the second one is our live status, right? And this goes there. There we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into our JavaScript, our live alert JavaScript. We're going to come back up here. So we got our terminal text, our Twitch player text. We got these things up here. We're going to add more. We're just going to add the live alert one thing, right? So here we go. It's 2 lines that we're adding up here. 3 lines, I guess. Yeah, 3 lines. So the first thing we're doing is we're getting here. You know what? Let's make this consistent. Oh, it's the eternal word wrap, so I can actually see what I'm doing. There we go. Hold on, what did I do? I put that in the spot. Undo. 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 There we go. Okay. That's what I did. Control X that. And we'll put it here. Boom. Just so it's more consistent. It looks a little better. Alright, so what we did was we've got our live banner and our live status, and we stored them both in elements. And then we changed our live status in our HTML. So we're changing the HTML, and so we're changing the HTML that's within our span of live status, right? So right in here, we're adding HTML code, and it's going to say live now username, which is Tango Hunter, is streaming, and here's the link, www.twitch.tv username, right? Target blank, right? So this target blank means it's going to open a new window, right? So if I hit this watch now, boom. Oh, because I'm not in an actual browser, I'm within VS Code, so it doesn't actually show up, but it works, right? Like it shows up there. But this is wrong, right? So we're gonna style it, but before that we have to do 2 more things. We have to set the banner to show when we are live and set it to hide when we are offline, right? So all I've got to do is I copied the one line that we're going to put in the online section. So we scroll down to our main function, main, right? Let's find the online section. So we got offline, we got error, we got online, right? So at the top of our online section, we're going to do it right here. Boom. So before it does any of this other stuff, we're going to make this banner active. We want it to be first in the list, right? We don't want to wait for this other function to finish. We were going to do this first, right? And it's be the same thing. We're going to do another one when we're offline. So all it's doing is we're adding a class to our live banner called banner active, which is going to activate the banner, right? And then we're offline. The first thing we're going to do when we're offline is make sure that the banner is not active. So we're going to remove that class called banner active, right? And if it doesn't exist, then just like remove it because it doesn't exist, right? So that's what we're going to do, right? So we're either going to remove it if it's there if we're offline, or we're going to add it if it's not there when we're online, right? So now we have the banner and we have the script to get to what we want, right? Very, very simple script. That was what, 4 lines, 5 lines? And the same thing for HTML. It's 1, 2, 3 lines of code for HTML, right? It looks like 4 because 28 takes up 2 lines, but it's just 3 lines. Our styles, though, are going to be a little bit more complicated, but that's okay. It's still not too bad. Still not too bad at all. We're going to come up here, and we're going to go to the very top underneath our body. Yep, here's a body tag, right? It's within our header, right? So actually going to go underneath the header instead. And we're going to come right here, and we're going to add it right here. So we're going to do live banner, right? Display none. Right, now it doesn't show up, right? We want to position it. Actually, here, let's get rid of display none for a minute, just so you guys can see what's going on. We'll just do display block for now. Boom, so you can actually see it. So we want a position of fixed. So position relative allows you to position elements within a container relative to its position, right? Position absolute allows you to position objects either absolutely where you want them or absolute to the container that we're within if that container is relative, right? Position fixed will make it stay, right? So it is going to stay on the screen. It is going to show behind certain things. I don't know how to... Yeah, here we go. It shows behind the header text, right? That's normal. It's not going to show behind these other ones because they're not long enough. Yeah, no, those are long enough. I can fix that if I wanted to, but I don't really care. At least not right now. I can probably fix it later. But let's make it top 0. So now it's going to show up at the very, very top, right? So it does not, now it's not hiding behind our name there. The next thing is we're going to make a width of 100%, right? So I want this to be the entire width of the page, 100% of the page. So this banner will span the entire width all the way across. And it's nice that it's behind, because now it's going to be behind these elements too, so it doesn't like, it's going to have a red background, so it's not going to hide these things, right? And then we want to align everything in the center. This will make sense in a second. Was it align content? Align items. Yeah, align items. So where's the line item? There it is. Line items. Center. This centers them vertically, not horizontally, like vertically, in the container they're going to be in. Right. We want a gap. So there's 2 spans in there. If you look, they're very close to each other right here. Like, here's this thing, and then this like right next to it. We're gonna put a little tiny gap there. So 0.5 rem. That should be adequate. I didn't really do much. No, not 0.1. 1. Is that doing anything? 5. It's not doing anything. Okay, we'll get rid of the gap then. We'll get rid of that. Doesn't need it. Alright, padding. We're going to do 0.5 rem and 1 rem. So the padding will add 0.5 to the top and bottom, and then 1 rem to the sides. And then we want the font weights. We want it to be bold. Right, so it shows up a little bit bigger. And then let's make the background red. Full on red. There we go. You see how it shows behind the letters? That's kind of, and it shows behind these things, so it's not blocking them. That's what we want, right? It's kind of weird that like it scrolls through it like that, you know? But like the fact that it doesn't block these other elements is really, really good. So that's why I don't want to change it. It's not that I don't care, it's that I don't want to block these things, right? Box shadow. We're going to add a little shadow to it. I want to do 0, 0, 8 pixels, red. Just a little bit of a shadow to it. So if you look, there's a little tiny like shadow emanating from the bottom. That's what we want, right? And the last thing is going to be pulse. So we're going to animate this. So we do animation. Oh, didn't mean to. Okay. We have to give it a name first. So we're going to call it pulse. Doesn't matter what you call it. Oh, what is it? I don't like that. Get rid of that. Animation. I guess it just shows up that way. I guess. I don't know. Pulse. We want to pulse for 1.5 seconds. Infinitely. We don't want it to end. Right? And now we have to add what the pulse effect is going to do. Right? So we have to go to keyframes now. We have to add keyframes. Doing it wrong. Add keyframes. There it is. And then we have to define pulse now. Right? So pulse is going to do these things. It's going to do... Here, let me just copy this. And I'll explain it. It's not hard. Alright, so at... it's basically going to pulse the shadow, right? So it's going to go between 18 pixels and 5 pixels, right? So at 0% and 100% are the same, right? That way it starts back over at 0. It's going to be 5 pixels, and then which 8 pixels the middle, right? But at 50% it's going to be 18. So if you look, this shadow has a slight pulse effect to it, just a shadow. I thought that was really cool. It's kind of hard to see. Making it bigger doesn't really help any. But I thought that was really cool. Right? Now, if the banner is active, right? So if banner active, if this what's it called? If this class exists, which it doesn't unless we're online, it's going to display inline block. Display inline block, right? Boom. Right? And now I have to do this, like live status thing. So, dot live status. And we want to nest the link right inside of it. We want, really it should just be, no, I shouldn't do it that way. It should be like this, right? And it should be color, because right now it's red. It should inherit the color, right? There we go. So I want the underline there so people know it's a link to click it, right? But I want it to be the same color as the rest. All right, so we got this cool like shadow pulsing effect. Yeah, now you can really see it. All right, cool. Now, what I need to do is kind of like move everything down just a little. So, I wonder what the right way to do this is. Maybe I'll just leave it. It's gonna look funky though, hold on. Yeah, it's gonna look funky in small screens. It looks fine on big screens. Until you get about right there. What I should do is kind of move. Maybe I should put it outside the header. Let's do that. Let's put it outside the header. So let's see what happens when I do that. Oh, yeah, that didn't work. What I can do though, when it's active, so hold on, let's go here. Since it now shows it behind it, so what I can do is I can come here, right, and then our live banner, since we're underneath our header now, so let's do live dash banner. And what I can do, and this should scroll with the page, right? Yeah, it does. It just shows it behind the banner. I don't like that. Alright, so live banner. Actually, I did this wrong. So we'll put it here. We're going to put a relationship tag. So if our live banner is active, our header is going to move down, right? So we're going to do top. How far down should I move it? What height did I make the, I didn't specify height. Let's just do 3.5 rem and see how that looks. Oh, okay. That kind of almost fixes it. 3. 2.5. And then on smooth small screens. Let's do 2.2. That's better. I think I like 2. I think I like that more. Alright, and then that's better. So yeah, that moves the whole header down just a little bit. So this is a relationship tag. So if live banner is active, right, our header is going to have these properties. Right, it's going to move the top down just a little bit. Just a little bit. So now, on a smaller screen, like my phone, let's move these two elements up a little bit. So our mobile toggle, top, let's do 0.5 rem. Where'd it go? Oh. Boom. See how I moved it up a little bit? And then we'll also do left 0.5 rem. that kind of like makes it just a little bit more. And we're doing the same thing with this one, right? So we'll put a space here, and we'll do, what is that one called? Theme toggle. Our theme toggle. What comma? Comma. Why is it green? Why are you green? Oh, because I forgot to make it a class. There we go. Oh, shoot. No, because they're both on the left side of the screen, so I have to do this separately. So what I can do, just copy this real quick, and I'll come down. We'll get rid of flex, right, because I don't need flex in there. And I'll make left, right, and make this our theme. Boom. And that kind of like moves it over just a little bit. It's still kind of big. What else I can do? I can do this. Closing bracket. Right, and we'll make this smaller. We'll make it like, I don't know, 600, or not 6,000, 600. And we'll do is move our header down. Header. And we want top. Let's do like 3.5 RAM. Let's see how it looks. Let's open it in live server and see how let's use our console to figure it out. So we go to more tools, like in our settings, hit developer options. We have console open, right? You can actually set the size of a screen for like mobile phones here, right? But I don't like to do it that way. I like to actually manipulate it manually this way. So now to tell me I'm at 480 pixels. 480, 83 is what moves it down. Right? So now if I come over here. Wait, does it actually move? Oh, I got 600. Hold on. Let's change this to 480, see if that works. Refresh. It didn't move it down. What am I doing wrong? Let's copy this. And we'll just replace it. And we'll make this 3.5. Actually, instead of 2.2, let's do 3.2. Yeah, 3.2. Instead of 3.5. Right. So what this should do... Yep, it does. And it should do it on our preview too. So refresh. Move this once we get down to 480 pixels. And moved it down just a little bit again. Right, and scrolling, it kind of goes behind it, which is fine, I don't care. So we don't want to block that stuff. Right, so now we know it works. And again, you could always just do this. And then up here, you can select okay, responsive. You can select like what size phone someone has, which this is a little outdated. S20 Ultra. Let's do that one. This is how it look on an S20 Ultra. So it's kind of pushing everything down. It pushed the header onto the terminal. So now what I've got to do... What's up, King Creeper? How you doing? And Not Your Tomato Juice. Both of y'all coming in here at the same time. I'm good, I'm good. We're doing some coding for a website. I keep changing things. And when I change them, it breaks things. So, like, it looks fine until it goes over top of the terminal. So then what I can do, I named it grid.
It's Mr. 305 checking in for the remix.
Dot grid, I can move it, put a margin in there. Let's do margin top. Margin dash top. And let's do 2.2 rem. Let's see if that works. Who just checked in? Not Your Tomato Juice checking in. That's what's up. I just got a shower and ate and did some homework. That's what's up. How are you? I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. We're getting this thing done. Right. Okay. Good. That did move it down. Cool. And then when it's full screen, we get that. Yeah, we get this like little effect where it's coming over the top of the terminal window just a little bit there, which is kind of cool. Alright, so let's now go back into our code. Make this smaller. We're going to come back up here to the very top. Alright, so we've got our banner display block. Let's change it to none, and that's going to make it disappear, right? Boom. Now it's gone. Why is everything still there? This banner active is not active. Hold on. Oh no, it's banner active. I've got live banner here. Let's do banner dash active. There we go. That fixed it. Hell yeah, coming together. Yeah, it is, dude. It is really coming together. I need to come down here now and change this from live banner to banner dash active. Right, so if banner active is there, it does this. So now let's go back into our JavaScript. We'll take these out. Take this out. And that broke. Why is it way over there? Why is it way over there? Close preview. Open my live server. Yo. It wasn't over there a minute ago. What did I change? Close that window. So every time I change something, something breaks. Alright, so alright, so we got a live banner. Top. Let's make it left. Left. 0. That should fix it. Watch this. Open my live server. I think Claude went to bed, actually. She said she was going to bed. There we go. That fixed it. Cool. Alright, so now we've got our main page, like my little About Me section, my schedule, my games, Discord, YouTube, GitHub. I don't have links in here yet. I will have to add that. To top. All this stuff works. I am live now. Right, so we can hit watch now. It opens up the this thing. Right? The player doesn't work because the player is only going to work on the actual website. So if we go to tangohunter.com. None of the styling has been updated in here yet, so the banner's not going to show up, but we know the player works. Right, so we know that works. Our terminal window works, right? And our links work. And now, if we come down, we make the screen size smaller. The breaking point where our navigation gets too, where the screen gets too small to contain it, it changes to a mobile menu, which comes out. And again, the links work. And our banner pushes everything down. It goes behind our main header, right? So it doesn't block our navigational limits, right? It goes behind it, and then it comes back out on top. And it stays there. And then when we're not live, this will disappear. So I think we're in a good spot to finish stream. It's been 2 hours. Maybe some by earlier. Oh, of course, I'm lost. Just kidding. Yeah, I'm so lost. This is why King does all the tech stuff for me. Yeah. So Claude wasn't feeling too good. Her body's achy. So she just wanted to get some rest. So I told her, yeah, I could take care of herself. Always take care of yourself. So, but yeah. So writing code, HTML. I wrote all this code. I did it live on stream. This is week 3. I've accomplished everything today that I set out to do. So I got, let's just open back up in the live server so it's easier to show you here. So I styled our navigation menu, right? I got actual content in the cards, and they got this cool hover effect. And then now they're actual cards instead of just plain text going across the screen. Our live banner's up there. This I did last stream. And the mobile menu and the mobile responsiveness, like, right? So when we get to the breaking point of our navigational limits, where these things get too big to be contained in the screen, it changes to this. Right? And if you look, so if somebody clicks on these 3 bars, this little hamburger menu, the middle bar disappears, this bottom one rotates up, and this top one rotates down into an X. Right? And it does it in the same amount of time that it takes for this menu to slide out. So the animations are in sync with each other. So like, I am super proud of that. I'm also super proud of the way the navigation menu turned out on the main desktop, with this cool like reflection effect and how it glows when you hover over it. So the live, everything, the live banner, my terminal window that updates automatically. So yeah, like it's come together, and I'm really happy with it. So I've got a few more things to button up that I will button up next stream. But overall, it's pretty much done. Like, it's ready. The only things that I have left to do, which I will save for other streams, is the tech page will host. It's gonna have a drop-down menu with filters and stuff that you can filter out, and the drop-down menu you'll be able to select a previously recorded tech stream that I've done, right? And it'll have, so all the data is gonna be stored in JSON. And it'll be loaded on screen. Actually, I can show you the data structure. I just have to, so I wrote the code at work. So what I've got to do, I'm going to do this off on the screen. Just give me just a second. So let me pull up my Gmail, because I emailed it to myself. Where'd I put it? Did I not send it to myself? What? Where is it? Okay, well I thought I had it. Did I delete it? I think I deleted it. Hold on. Go to my trash. Alright, and then... in trash. Yeah, from me. Well, that's not it. That's not it. I guess I deleted it. That's crazy. Why would I delete it? I can't even find it in my trash. Maybe I didn't delete it. Maybe it's in here somewhere. I don't know. I can't find it though. Yeah, I'll have to upload it later so you can see it. Wait, hold on. I need to see how to save the videos. So it's actually not hard. Let me show you. So your VODs. Let me just pull this back over. Let me close my email. Here we go. So if I go to Twitch, if you go over to your where's it at? Creator dashboard. Content, video producer. All your VODs are here, right? Like this one I'm broadcasting now. Some of them have muted audio for some reason. I don't know why. I gotta look into that. Most of them don't. But like these past broadcasts, you can check mark. And then export. When you export it, it's gonna export it to YouTube. Right? So you have to put a title in, put a description in, whatever tags you want. You know. But you just have to link your Twitch and your YouTube. I need to see how to save. Oh, to my videos? They're on the YouTube, dude. It's like they're on my YouTube. So if you go to like, I think it's youtube.com/@tango. I don't know if it's _hunter or -hunter. Or if it's one word. I think that's it. Let me check. I'll click the link. Not found. Nope, that's not it. One word? No. _hunter? It's _hunter. There we go. So ignore the first link. But boom, my videos are there. So all of my previous tech streams, I haven't done many, and this one will be there too. But yeah, and then the links will be in my website, and my website's just gonna be TangoHunter with nothing in it.com. Like Tango Hunter, like no spaces, no dashes, no nothing. You're gonna sub now. You don't have to do that. I appreciate it. But the code that I just wrote won't be live on here for like another at least 5 minutes. So what I've got to do is I got to open up. So I do it on the desktop app because then people on stream can see what I'm committing. Like so, like we added our live banner, right? This is my second update this stream, so like not everything is showing up. Our live alert, we just added like 5 lines of code. So we added these 3. Our offline one, so it removes the active status when we're offline. It adds the active status to our banner when we're online, right? And that's all I did. And then the styling for it, right? So our live banner styling, the mobile toggle. I don't think I messed with that, did I? Maybe I did. I don't know. And then more of the banner active header styling with all the stuff down here too. So yeah, and then this is going to be week 3 final update. Commit. All right, and then we're going to push. Oh, you gave me a sub on Twitch. That's what's up. I appreciate it. I think you're like the first person to sub to my, or not Twitch, YouTube. I think you're the first person to sub to my YouTube. So, but yeah, now all my files are going to be live on GitHub. So if I go to my website, it takes like 5 minutes. Sometimes it's quicker, sometimes it's longer. I just tell people 15, but everything I just did, so like the banner will show up. I mean, the video works, right? So the Twitch player works. Refresh. Yeah, it's not. Oh, it's trying to load because it showed up. Not all the code's there yet. It's not finished. It's not done parsing the JavaScript. That's why the rest isn't showing up. You good? You're amazing, dude. I'm trying to learn more. So if you really want to learn coding, Code Academy is free. You can do a lot in there, and you can learn more than just HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. JavaScript is going to be the hardest of the three to learn, but if you can wrap your head around that, then you can do pretty much anything. Because even Python and C#, they're all object-oriented languages, just like JavaScript. So if you can learn JavaScript, you can learn any of them. There we go. Now it's updated. So there's the live banner, right? And it hides itself behind our main elements in the top of the page, right? And then it's there. That was weird. Oh, because I'm hovering. Okay, so if I'm hovering over something, it brings it over top of it. That's cool. Back to the top. And then our mobile, so if somebody's on like a tablet, the mobile navigation. Or if they're on a phone, like if their screen's even smaller, it'll push things down just a little bit more. Which I can't make my screen that small. Yeah, it all works though. Yeah, Free Code Camp is also good. Yeah, Free